We carry on this age-old tradition of maple syruping. At the end of the long cold winter, it brought families, it brought communities together to go out into the woods.
It's kind of a rite of spring. Winter's over. Now we're going to celebrate the end of winter by going to a maple syrup festival.
Spring is just a great time to be out in the woods. It's just a time to bring back life. It's very spiritual, really, to be out here and to make something out of it. It's just been a tradition, and it's part of St. John's for 75 years. The brothers who had worked up with the Native Americans up in Red Lake and White Earth got to know how to tap trees, how to cook syrup, because that's what the Native Americans were still doing regularly.
We're making it the same way that people would have been making it hundreds of years ago. We're tapping the trees, we're collecting it in a bucket, we're cooking it on big wood-fired evaporators. Maybe some of the technologies have become more efficient over time, but we're still doing it really the same way.
The monks own the land, have been tapping them since the sugar shortage of World War II.
When the sugar shortage hit, they started making maple syrup. Monks did most of it. I came into the monastery as a brother candidate right out of prep school. When I first started, we used all hand braces. 4 or 6 guys out there with hand braces drilling holes. And so I just fell right into the swing of things of doing syruping and sapping. By the time I was out of novitiate, I was tapping and cooking and hauling.
And it was totally, almost totally done by the monastic community itself. So we hauled as novices, and when we were in temporary vows, we just hauled a lot of sap. With the cooker we had then, they would often end up cooking day and night.
We basically cooked around the clock. In the old shack, I went around the clock one time for 16 days. 2 people, you know, you catch a 2-hour nap, and in the morning you got up and go out and start collecting. We had all 1-gallon cans on the trees, so if it was running, a gallon can would be running over. And so we'd collect everything twice a day in those days.
We're sitting here at the stone gate, one of the trails here at St. John's, and just across the road from where we're at, that was the original site of the maple sugar shack. And I think until about the 1970s.
February of '71, actually.
And it burned down in kind of a mysterious fire.
We got the call about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was on the fire department then already. About the only thing left was the front doors. The old shack was lined with those cards, and nobody took photos of them, nobody had records of them, nobody copied them. So we lost all our records from 42 until 70.
All right, this is our first maple that's going to get tapped.
Oh, right in this area?
Yeah, we'll start here and we'll work up that
In the
way.
late 1990s, Father Paul Schweitz was a monk here. He was also a graduate forester. So he started what he called the Arboretum, and he saw the opportunity to more formally use the woods as an educational tool.
It's a unique arboretum, really.
Maples are found commonly throughout, but there's only a few places where they're actually pretty dense. They're found and they grow well on good farmland. We put the syrup shack there because there were a lot of maples right in that area.
Once we got out here, we didn't see hardly anybody until the Arboretum came into being back in the 90s.
You know, we have 2 sides to the syruping operation. We have the production side where we make the syrup, and we have the educational side where we want people to be educated about it.
I find it just interesting as an environmental educator. It's a great way to engage people with the outdoors.
Historically, on average, we have between 800 and 1,000 kids that come out on field trips every year. Our youngest grade that we do is preschool, so 4 and 5-year-olds, all the way up to college. First-year biology students come out for physiology of maple sap flow. We're talking about fiber and vessel cells and osmosis and pressure, and so it's really a wide range.
Tapping Day is a day for the community to come together and help us out with the process of tapping the trees. We send out a series of 10 different crews to tap different parts of the sugar bush. Tapping, putting the spile in, putting the bucket on, putting the lid on, and moving on to the next tree.
taps are in the trees, and they drain into 5-gallon buckets. And then volunteers on a regular basis go out and collect the sap off the trees and then put it in larger 50-gallon drums throughout the woods.
But I can remember carrying pails of sap and kind of almost dragging them across the snow to get them down to those 50-gallon barrels.
And then we go out and collect with the tanker.
Oh yeah.
And put them into these stainless steel tanks. From here, it goes by gravity into the sugar shack, into the evaporator, and it cooks.
As I first learned back in the 60s that all we do out here is just burn wood as fast as possible. The difference of burning that dry wood and burning this semi-dry wood is about 300 to 400 degrees.
Yeah, the sap comes in over here, and it cooks down somewhat in this pan here. It comes over into the finishing pan here, where we cook it down further. When it gets to a certain point, then we filter it here. Then it goes over in the finishing cooker, where it gets totally finished off.
Some monasteries have a brewery of their own, Europe, different places. St. John's has never had that. A Cold Spring Brewery, which is not that far from here, decided to do some craft beers. And the brewer at the time wanted to try kind of a maple flavored beer.
It's a beer that gets a lot of buzz. The maple syrup goes in right at the end of the process, right before we package. So the goal would be not to ferment the maple syrup, because otherwise you'd lose all your character, all your maple syrup taste. Sugar Shack started as kind of an idea around the brewery. You know, St. John's Abbey is right down the road. We could get the maple syrup from them. It'd be a great story. It'd be a great beer.
If you buy Sugar Shack beer, you're getting some amount of St. John's maple syrup.
The season of the melting snow is when you freely flow.
It has been a labor of love. If I didn't love it, I certainly wouldn't be out here as much as I am.
Knowing how much work and how much love goes into that bottle, I think it makes it even better.
I am so thrilled with what the Outdoor University has done with the sapping operation in terms of turning it into this wonderful learning and volunteering kind of operation. It's that kind of richness that I really applaud.
So come with me and climb the hill, tap a tree with your drill. See the sap rush out to greet you and know that soon it will